Thank you all. Please be seated. Very kind. Thank you.
Ms. Lee, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony that you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Ms. Brooks.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court, we're before you on case number 2024 GS 31-179, the state of South Carolina versus Lizanne Bridge Lee on the charge of assault and battery 3rd degree. We're also before you on 2024-180 on the charge of pointing and presenting a firearm. 181. Burglary, 2nd degree nonviolent, and 182, malicious injury to personal property. Ms. Lee is represented by Attorney Jack First. Ms. Lee indicates she wishes to plead guilty to these charges. These are all waiver charges, Your Honor. Your Honor, this is a negotiated plea. The state has agreed to a sentence of 3 years, suspended to 3 years probation, with a specific no contact with the victims, and Ms. Lee has indicated she wishes to plead guilty.
Mr. First, is that correct, sir?
It is, Your Honor.
And she understands that she is waiving presentment, sir?
She does.
Ms. Lee,
Yes, sir.
how are you today?
Good, thank you.
Ms. Lee, you have 4 charges here that were just announced to the court. How do you plead with these charges?
Guilty.
Ms. Lee, I know you're good lawyers talk to you about these matters, but let me do this on the record here today. Listen carefully to what I tell you. You have the right to a trial by a jury on every charge. A judge will tell the jury you are presumed innocent. The state prosecution must prove to the jury, your jury, that you are guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, Miss Lee, so you do know, and I'm sure you do, for the record, this is not going to be your sentence, but you could face 10 years on one charge, 10 on the other, 5 years and 30 days. On a really bad day, in a straight-up plea or trial, you could possibly be looking at 15 years and 30 days in jail. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Brooks, could you tell me something about it, please?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred on September 16th of 2023 here in Lee County. It was investigated by the Lee County Sheriff's Office. They received a call and they responded to 435 Church Street in Lynchburg, located here in Lee County. When they arrived at the scene, they made contact with a Miss Denise Guzman, who lived at that address, and her neighbor, Miss Press. Both of those ladies are here in court today and may wish to address the court at an appropriate time. There was a 3rd victim involved, a child victim who was inside the house. When law enforcement arrived, they learned from the 2 witnesses, Ms. Guzman and Ms. Gilchrist, that Ms. Lee had come to that particular location, and when she arrived, she got out of her vehicle with a gun in hand. She pointed the gun towards the house and was yelling and cursing. Ms. Guzman had retreated to the house, and the minor child, which is the grandson of Ms. Guzman, was there inside the house. Ms. Lee walked up to the porch area with some object in her hand and started knocking out the front window and trashing some things on the porch and behaving very angrily. Ms. Lee then got back into her car, drove recklessly through Ms. Guzman's yard. She ran over some trees and a statue in the yard before she actually rammed her vehicle into Ms. Guzman's vehicle. Ms. Lee was driving a 2010 Cadillac Escalade and she rammed it into Ms. Guzman's 2015 Nissan Sentra, causing quite extensive damage to that vehicle. She then got out of her car and retrieved some object and ended up throwing that object at Miss Gilchrist and hitting Miss Gilchrist. Your Honor, when law enforcement arrived, they were able to take extensive pictures of the damage done to Ms. Guzman's vehicle, to the home, and Ms. Lee, I believe, was still on scene because when they searched the vehicle, they did locate a handgun inside that vehicle. I do not believe that Ms. Lee gave a statement at the time of the incident, but that covers those charges. Your Honor, Ms. Lee does not have a general sessions record, hence the negotiation. I would like to put on the record that there was a related charge, a stalking charge in warrant number 2024A31101000013 that's being dismissed as a result of this negotiated plea. Your Honor, the state has advised Ms. Guzman on the issue of restitution. Should she want to seek that should be done civilly, and that's not being included as a part of this plea today.
Ms. Lee, did you hear what the solicitor says you did?
Yes, I did.
Is that substantially correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you still wish to plead guilty on all 4 charges?
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Lee, are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, sir.
Mr. First, any concerns about our pleas?
None whatsoever.
Ms. Lee has been engaged in a responsive end of questioning process. She's well represented by good counsel. I find she's offered her pleas freely, knowingly, and voluntarily with advice and consent of good counsel, and that the charges are factually supported by the narrative or summation given by the solicitor. So I will accept her pleas. Ms. Brooks, anybody wish to say anything?
Your Honor, this is Ms. Alita Gilchrist, one of the victims in the case on the assault and battery, 3rd degree. She would like to address the court.
Yes, ma'am.
I speaking on.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Gilchrist.
Anyone else, Ms. Brooks?
No, sir, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. First, what might you wish to say?
Very briefly, Your Honor, in light of the negotiated sentence, just a little bit of background on Ms. Lee. She is 63 years old. She was born and raised up in Connecticut and wound up moving to South Carolina in 2009. She resides in the Coward community. Judge, she's had various jobs throughout her life, but most recently, she's been working in the automotive industry where she manages a transmission shop in the Coward area. Judge, importantly in this case, a little over 10 years ago, Ms. Lee had a health issue that resulted in a change in her mental health that caused her to be required to take prescription medications. At a time of this incident, Judge, she was not on her medicine, and that's what led to these very, very much out of character events for her. And Judge, the good news is that she did 149 days in the jail. We asked for credit for that time served. And once she was released from jail, she began seeking mental health treatment. She reports, and I've spoken with her treating physician. She goes to an appointment every 2 weeks and is routinely on her medication. She takes it consistently, and it has resolved her issues to the point where she's unrecognizable compared to the person that I met over a year ago. And so, Judge, in light of that, we'd ask that you follow these recommendations, or the negotiated sentence, accept the plea, and certainly no contact is appropriate, as well as ensuring that Ms. Lee continues treating and continues taking her medication. Thank you, Judge.
Ms. Brooks, anything you wish to add, ma'am?
Just on the mental health part of it, the solicitor's office has tracked Mrs. Lee's progress, and she has been compliant with her mental health counseling, and we would ask the court to require that continue as a part of her probation.
And we have no issue with that, Judge.
Anything you wish to say, Ms. Lee?
No, sir.
Ms. Lee, you live in Cattle.
Yes, sir.
How far is that from the victims?
Excuse me?
How far do you live from the victims?
About 45 minutes, I believe.
So you have no reason to go there, right?
No, sir.
You don't pass by the house or anything like that, right?
No, sir.
And she's undergoing mental health counseling, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Spurs and Ms. Brooks, y'all look over these sentencing sheets to make sure that I have not made a mistake. All right, Ms. Lee, on the assault matter, third degree, sentence of the court is 30 days, suspended to 3 years of probation. Now, all of these sentences are concurrent, and all have credit for 149 days served. On the burglary, second degree, 3 years in prison, suspended to 3 years of probation. On the malicious injury to property, 3 years in prison, suspended to 3 years of probation. And lastly, the pointing the weapon, firearm, or presenting it is 3 years suspended to 3 years in prison, suspended to 3 years of probation. Again, all concurrent, all subject to 149 days for credit, time served. Also applying to each sentence is that mental health counseling during probation must continue until validly released from that counseling. The warrant states on each one, the sentencing sheet states on each one, no contact with Denise Guzman, Dante Cepeda, or Aletha Gilbert. And I've also stamped on there my stamp that says no direct or indirect contact by any methods with victims and victims' family at any time or place, even if requested by the victims. I put that there because if for some reason y'all become friends again, which is unlikely, if they invite you over and you're on probation, you have violated the probation.
I understand.
They can't change the order, and you cannot either. I would advise you, ma'am, stay away from them, directly and indirectly. You don't have a criminal record, you do now. You come back here for a probation violation, and it's highly likely that you do 3 years in a women's prison somewhere in South Carolina. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Brooks,
Sorry, we're doing nothing else.
would y'all want to check these to make sure? Thank you.
Judge, I guess the only thing further is, because she is a resident of Florence County, we're going to ask that probation be transferred to Florence so that she can do it there.
I have no objection to that. No.
That's all.
Yeah, happy to. Thank you.
It is. that right with you, sir?
Right, Mr. Chairman.
Do I need to indicate that on the order?
That's automatic.
All right, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Good luck to you. Good luck to you.
This is Christian News TY. I'm Tony Conyers. Is there any newsworthy events? We will get them to you as soon as possible. If not, you can follow us on Christian News TY Facebook. You can follow us on YouTube, and you can follow us on our website.